Alright, so this is the latest proof of concept. And essentially I've put VMware's hypervisor on an Optiplex class computer which runs Xeon processors. And I've added in a couple different cards to test, whether it's an NVIDIA Quadro or an old ATI Radeon. The reason that's important is that it's difficult to get NVIDIA to output their video natively. So what I'm trying to do essentially is have these displays locally output the video, even though there's a hypervisor on here. I mean, as most people are aware, with VMware, you remotely connect to a VDI or to a virtual machine, but I'm trying to make it so I can use local input and output. So that way I can have local USB ports for keyboard and mouse and local video. And it gives me the ability to be a virtual machine, meaning that it's always online and functional if you have something like vPro installed. And it also allows you to migrate that virtual machine or dynamically reallocate resources or carve up the computer to do other tasks. So as you can see here, we've got 6.7 on here, and it has a Radeon HD 3450, I believe, and it has a Quadro 600. Now, I'm connected up here so that you can see kind of how it looks. So I've made a Windows 10 machine and I made a Windows 7 machine. But since this is a virtual machines, I could actually put Unlocker on here and you could actually run Mac OS if you wanted to. And then you could also run Ubuntu. So you could have a machine, a physical machine, running Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, theoretically anyway. I've put Mac OS before on some of these hypervisors, so I know it can be done. I've also run Ubuntu. But some of the big secrets are, so you can see I've deactivated this NVIDIA Quadro card here. I was having a lot of difficulties with blue screens. So that's why I had to try a few different things. So this old Optiplex 980 video card is actually an HD 3450, and by passing it through, it exposes it direct hardware to the guest. And then I had to experiment with some other things. I put on an add-on USB controller card on here, and that's the little card right there. But I had a lot of difficulties getting it to work. I don't know if it's because it's running USB 3 or the driver compatibility and whatnot. So I ended up having to try some other things. So I used the onboard chipset number 2. Number 2 actually turns out to be the back of the USB ports, whereas the front USB ports are using USB 1. And the front USB ports mean that I can use local input on here. So if I hit F2, this will light up and it'll allow me to log in. But at the same time, by using the back USB ports, it allows me to do this. So now you can see I've got my mouse here, and I'm going to go ahead and go over to the device manager and we'll look at the hardware on it. So if you look closely, what you'll notice is that we have a VMware video card, and it says it's a physical monitor. There's no thin client or anything. And then there is the Radeon card that's built into it. I end up using paravirtual drivers and an Intel E1000E, I think, built in. But it's pretty magical being able to do this. So there's the virtual SCSI disk. So it means that on that virtual guest here, I just done it for proof of concept, so I haven't really tweaked it for performance yet. I made it pretty light, 2 virtual CPUs, 4 gigs of memory, a 60 gig drive, USB. Couple things that you had to do also. I used WinSCP in order to get to the, let me just log in here. In order to connect to the guest here, by using WinSCP, it allows me to modify the configuration for the VMX. Let me see here. Let me just try to log in. All right, so we can see it's locked right now, but essentially if I want to look at that file, I'll show you a couple other things I had to do. So it's important to make a PCI hole for start and end and pass through the video. So where was that setting now? PCI hole bridge, NVRAM. Well, essentially inside here you'll see there should be a line that says hypervisor.v0. That's pretty important. You'll notice that there's a really good article out there on Reddit on here for a multi-headed gaming R720 project. So this was one of the main articles that I followed in order to do some of this. This hypervisor CPU ID, this line here, this is primarily for NVIDIA, but I could not get my NVIDIA card to work even after I did that. I did try doing the PCI hole start and end, and that seemed like it helped a little bit, but it still just had to troubleshoot back and forth. This guest here is running EFI BIOS also, and I'm not sure if that ends up helping it any at all, but I did try to make it Windows 7 running EFI, and then the Windows 10 I'm still experimenting with and getting that one to work on. But at this point, this proof of concept project is complete, so until next time, to be continued.